Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. I'm here with my partner in crime, Joe. This is our first show of Flyway Connection. Joe, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Joe Spiris, born and raised in Northern California, right outside the rice fields. Been duck hunting all my life, kind of grew up to it. Fourth generation waterfowler. Been in the military 16 years, and I've been field staffing with Valor and Honor Outdoors for the last 4 years.
Wow, that sounds good, man. We had a first show, first episode. Finally here, but a little bit about myself. I'm also in the military. I met Joe and Valor and Honor through him. Went out on my first hunt and grew up deer hunting, and I don't think I'm ever going to see a rack again. But let's go ahead and get into our special guest, Joe.
Our special guest for this first episode is one and only John Perez, former Marine Corps veteran and the president of Valor and Honor Outdoors. Hey, how you doing, John?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Good to be here. All
right. So, John, obviously we want to know a lot about Valor and Honor, how it started, and where we're at today. So first off, let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes as far as how Valor and Honor started and what the role is or the idea behind it.
Yeah, sounds great. So I was born and raised upstate New York, moved down to South Florida for my high school years, and did a lot of hunting and fishing growing up, and always just found a lot of comfort and solace out there in the woods and on the water. I come from a military family. My father was in the Coast Guard and Navy. My brother was Air Force. My sister was Army. And then when I was 17 years old, the Marine barracks in Beirut were bombed. And it was a pivotal point in my life. I was an at-risk teenager, wasn't sure what I was going to do, wasn't sure what I was living for. And I saw these young guys digging their buddies out of the rubble and realized they had something worth dying for. So I enlisted at 17 and served 6 years in the Marine Corps, and was blessed down the road with a wonderful family. One of them was a son named Ben. And when Ben was 14 years old, he got into duck calling, and kind of surprised me. I was never a duck hunter. And but he really picked up on it, and that really opened up a new door for us.
Wow, that's a crazy story. I actually have a lot of family members in the Marine Corps, and you know the whole story. Dealing with Marines, once a Marine, always a Marine. I got to hear them chewing on the crayons all the time. So, but all right. So I heard you're from upstate New York. You're a Yankees fan?
I was at the time. I'm not a big sports fan right now. My focus is being outdoors, and but anyway.
Okay, good, because I was gonna hang up on you. Joe almost didn't make it because he's a Giants fan, but
well, one thing, not to brag on Ben a little bit, but what he has to say about Ben is Ben does do competition duck calling and has won North Carolina state competition probably 5 or 6 times now.
I believe he's a 5-time state winner for North Carolina. State winner,
and he is qualified for Worlds in Stuttgart. How many times has he competed in Stuttgart?
Ever since he was 18. So I think at least 5 times, I believe, and maybe 6 or 7 times. I'm not even sure.
Phenomenal duck caller.
And this is your son, right?
That's my son, Ben. Okay. And honestly, that's how we got into the we got into Valor and Honor. Ben was 15 years old. We were hunting together at a charity hunt up in Easton, Maryland, and some Marines heard Ben calling, and a Marine named Dave Elwing came over and said, "Hey, that kid can really call." We started talking. He said, "Would you guys be interested in coming down to Quantico and having Ben blow a duck call for some of our wounded warriors and showing them what it's about, and then going out into a blind and calling ducks for them?" So I, said yes on the spot, and went down and was introduced to Fred Salo, who's the founder of QIMSA, Quantico Injured Military Sportsmen Association. And that began a multi-year relationship with QIMSA. It was a highlight for those next 2 years, going to Quantico and getting to call for the Marines and the wounded warriors from all the different branches. And just by chance, one day there was a soldier, 82nd Airborne. His name was Jake. He'd been shot by a sniper. And I heard him talking to someone else saying, "Man, this is great. I love it. I wish I could do it more than once a year." And so I asked Jake where he was from, and he mentioned Fort Bragg. And I said, "Jake, I live 90 minutes from Fort brag. You want to hunt or fish, you call me. I'll take you anytime. So a few weeks later, my phone rang. It was Jake. And he came up and wanted to do some hunting. And we did some hunting together. And he eventually got his first deer with us with a bow. And we started fishing. And then he started calling and saying, I've got some buddies would like to go. And that was the birth of Valor and Honor Outdoors. Word kind of spread and the phone kept ringing. And we started getting booked up, just taking guys hunting and fishing. That was really the birth of Valor and Honor Outdoors.
And what I will say is, just from my experience, like I said, I grew up deer hunting, fishing a lot. We grew up fishing probably better than Joe, but that's another podcast. But don't get me wrong, I love deer hunting. Backstrap is close to none to that. But when I got into, and I haven't really talked to Joe about this, but when I got into waterfowl, it was really therapeutic, if that makes sense. It kind of, and I think with people with and nobody wants to say, talk about PTSD as far as service members, especially people who are still in, because it's kind of, it's just kind of something you keep to yourself. And I think that's a norm that needs to be taken away. But as far as, for me, I felt like it was really therapeutic. You're always on the watch. You kind of, it kind of ties everything to what we learn in the military, Marine Corps, Army, whatever service branch you are, Navy, Air Force, kind of that attention to details, looking up, being active, not just sitting there in a blind. Not saying, I probably won't get another rack on my in my house again, but who knows? I might do a deer hunt every now and then, but just waterfowl hunting was therapeutic. And there was I don't know if I did it on Instagram or it was basically why we do this. And it was just therapy, waterfowl therapy.
Yeah. Blindside therapy.
Yeah. Blindside waterfowl therapy. And I thought I thought that stuck really good. It's really therapeutic. You get to meet great people. Everybody in the waterfowl community, I will say everybody has been amazing.
Yeah, I agree because of what Ben does. We have access to a lot of waterfowlers, and one of our board members is a Special Forces veteran, Ron Long with RM Calls, and has been one of our biggest supporters from day one. And goes by Stump. And when Stump got behind Valor and Honor Outdoors, it really took us to a whole new level. Between his contacts and Ben's contacts, it really opened up a lot of doors for us. And we are blessed to have a group of volunteers who are very selfless. No one's in it for themselves. And so we just are provided some great opportunities to hunt with some of the best callers in the world, hunt some of the best places in the world. And waterfowling kind of is our bread and butter. But, we'll do whatever guys want to do. I tell people, if guys want to go to Build-A-Bear, we'll do that. But no one's ever asked me to do that. No one's ever asked me to do that. But we've done a lot of things, whether it's horseback riding, metal detecting, bear tours, deer hunts, swan hunts, whatever. We'll do whatever it takes to serve that community.
All right, John, go on to the next question. We'll go ahead and ask you, what is Valor and Honor Outdoors? Kind of get into the meat potatoes. I know you kind of broke it down a little bit with us, but tell us how exactly it started, why you do what you do, what kind of connections you or people that you had to get around you to kind of help you start this. I know the idea behind it, but I want to know what your thought and your idea behind it is.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, coming from a military family, had a lot of exposure to some of the challenges that those serving face, and being involved with those hunts up there at Quantico with Quimsa, I got to see firsthand the therapeutic effects of being outdoors and being able to, get these warriors out there on the water or in the woods. And, PTSD is real. We don't like to talk about it a lot. And, I think I'm not a big fan of the term. I don't think it's a disorder. I think what our men are facing when they come home is just the natural reaction to being in combat. And I don't think there's anything involved that's a disorder. I just think it's something traumatic that we have to deal with. But you won't hear a lot about PTSD from us on our website, and that's because there's a stigma associated with it. probably 80% of our guys are active duty. And quite honestly, they're not going to touch anything that has PTSD written on it because they don't want to put their clearances at risk. They don't want to put their roles at risk. Many of them are in units that require, top secret clearance. And so they don't like to talk about PTSD, but we all know that it's real. And certainly through the relationships that we establish, we're able to kind of provide some resources for these men and women. Early on when we started with other groups, the focus was on wounded warriors, and quickly realized that there was someone that kept that wounded warrior alive on the battlefield. And the analogy I like to use is, a Marine who's injured in combat, and one buddy's holding his leg and stopping the bleeding, another's putting a tourniquet on him, another guy's on a radio calling for an evac, and his other buddies are laying down cover fire. And eventually that Marine gets out of there, but his buddies go back to the battle, and they're covered in his blood, and they're wondering how he's doing. This is someone they've served with, someone that's closer than a brother, and that creates a lot of trauma and angst. And the wounds aren't physical, they're mental, but they're still wounds nonetheless. And what we saw very quickly was that a lot of these guys didn't get the same opportunities as the wounded warriors. So at that point, we just said, we're going to just focus on anybody who's served with valor and honor, anybody who's honorably discharged. And that really became our focus from that day on. You asked some questions about, how we surrounded ourselves with others and who helped us get started. Huge shout out to Quimsa, Fred Salo up there for kind of showing us the opportunity. Then I had a very good friend, Tim Sexton, who's on our board, and he saw what we were doing, and he came beside me and said, "Hey, let's make this a nonprofit." So in 2016, we established a nonprofit. We were taking out about 150 folks a year on our own dime up to that point, and realized if we really wanted to do what needed to be done, we needed some more support. So he came on board. And then Stump from RM Calls, who's a SF veteran, came on board and opened up a whole new venue for us into the another segment of the waterfowl community that my son Ben was already involved in, the calling community, the duck call making community. And that really opened up some other doors for us. And that really got us going in a significant way.
Yeah, and I hear you. So as far as, and I think it's great what you guys are doing. I do believe you guys are actually helping. I've done some programs before, and not to say that they don't help, but they're not for me. I think there's just certain things that are for some people. And what I will say for people who don't waterfowl hunt, give it a try. I mean, try it out. It's really therapeutic. I was one of those guys that made fun of waterfowl guys. The whole, why do I want to keep blowing on stuff all day when I can, what I mean? But it's just, it to me, it wasn't something I guess I didn't want to do at the time growing up. Growing up in Texas, it was all, let's see who can get the biggest rack. I did some squirrel hunting, but a lot of fishing. And when I did it, and like I said earlier, it was just real therapeutic for me. And I think that's what's happened, because you've had a couple of guys that just turned from whatever they used to do, hunt.
So for me, the ongoing joke this year is I'm probably have spent a little over 10 grand of other people's money on waterfowl gear. And I've probably brought some wives having to buy early birthday presents and Christmas presents. But, John, I think a little backstory about me and Valor and Honor. I met John on a whim. And I don't know if I ever told you this, John, that youth deer hunt. I almost didn't go. The sergeant major at the time, Sergeant Major Oaks, we got back from a training event, and he was like, "Hey, Spears, you're going to take your son on a deer hunting trip." And it was actually on the youth deer hunt, but that wasn't, if guys who know me, I am a huge wing shooter. That's what I do, is I shoot anything that flies. And it was right in the opening weekend of dove season. And I was like, "No, I'm going to go shoot some doves." And he was like, "No, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you're going to go up here and take your kid hunting." So I was like, enough said, it could be worse. And, the big thing is, there's a lot of waterfowl. And, but the deer hunting ventures we've done, the turkey hunting, And for me, it was getting an opportunity to hang out with my oldest boy at a deer hunt, where, you know, something we don't usually do. Got out of both of our comfort zones. Unlike other organizations that just focus on the soldier or the service member, Valor and Honor really took home the family bond of it, you know, involving the wives, the kids, and, you know, again, not just, you know, the individual spending time in the woods, but the family spending time in the woods.
And just to caveat that, that's another. He brought another good point. So, my son, I've taken him hunting, but he's not the best at being quiet. And if obviously you've been deer hunting, you kind of can't make noise, and he kind of gets impatient. He just wants to be active. So, my daughter, she's all right. She's not so bad, but when I took him waterfowl hunting, it was okay for him to, you know, joke around with his oldest son, Joey. And it was okay for, you know, them to talk, to kind of like laugh and giggle. But when we saw birds, they knew, all right, let's be quiet. And then for like 20, 30 seconds, whatever it may be, for Joe working the birds. And then they can go back to being kids. And I really enjoyed that, because I got to enjoy the time more with my kids, take more pictures, kind of be, but still be proactive. So I really do enjoy that. I think that's another good thing that Valor and Honor brings for service members, is not just for the service members, but just like me, most service members are, it's all about family. So.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a very good point. And, you know, I'll add, we're not a hunting organization. We're a veteran support organization, and hunting is just, you know, the key thing that we do. But like I've said before, if guys want to do Build-A-Bear, we'll go Build-A-Bear if that's what they want to do. It's just that no one wants to do that. And getting families involved is very important. I would say 80% of our guys are active duty. And the sad fact is that, and I always tell our volunteers this, when you have this parent out there with their son or their daughter, they could be deployed next week. And this can be the last memory that child has with mom or dad. As sad as it is, that's just a harsh reality in our world. And so these events are very, very important. I just had 3 Marines here in the house this weekend, and one of them brought his wife, and, you know, she duck hunted with them in the morning. In the afternoon, she just kind of stayed and relaxed. But getting the families out there is very, very important to us. And so we're honored to do it. I'm not even a big waterfowler myself. It's just that, you know, the door opened because my son Ben was a competitive caller. And we've got people on our board that are, you know, big in the duck call making industry. And but we do all kinds of things. We, you know, black bear tours here in Northeast North Carolina. That's a big deal. We'll go out in an hour and a half, 2 hours, see, you know, 20 to close to 50 black bears. And, you know, for families to see that for the first time, and the kids behind binoculars and spotting scopes. So, you know, there are a lot of things we do, kayaking and horseback riding and things like that. We just want to serve the military, our veterans and their families, and hunting is just one of the venues that we use to do that.
And I'm really glad you actually cleared that up. I know that's something I'm pretty bad at, but I'll go ahead and fix that. But then this is not just important for me, but important for people listening to this podcast. You know, you don't have to just go out hunt. You can, like you said, go horseback ride. And if they want to do a Build-A-Bear, and maybe after this, you might get some calls for, hey, I want to do a Build-A-Bear. So
let's do it.
But, you know, just kind of clear that up, that you guys are a veterans or I'm going to clear that up. You guys are a veterans organization, just getting involved, which is a great thing. I really do enjoy that. And I like that whole, the idea and behind that. So thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. And I'll add, Joe mentioned a good point. So it was a Sergeant Major Oaks, who we've done a lot of hunts with, and the senior enlisted officers, the officers, the chaplains, they're huge resources for us. And that's where we get a lot of our guys. I remember several years ago, we had a turkey hunt scheduled opening day in North Carolina. We had 4 soldiers coming in. And a week before, the chaplain called me from the 82nd. He said, John, you know, we have had a rough time, and we've had some just struggles, and I've got about 20 guys, and we need to do something next weekend. And I was like, Chaplain, that's opening of turkey. He's like, John, we got to do something. So we scrambled, and we brought 20 guys from the 82nd up, and we did a skeet shoot. At the same time, we had 4 guys turkey hunting, and we had a full cabin. And I don't think I've ever been part of an event that was more fun than that. So we'll scramble. We'll try to meet the needs of the organization that requests it. And we can build custom one-off events. If we know that there's a unit that's had a rough deployment or other challenges, we'll do something catered just towards that organization.
And I mean, John's been kind of modest when he says scramble to get an event together. Every event that I've been a part of or have helped and all that, I mean, they're Class A events, John. Coming from the turf, I mean, I know we're not 100% a hunting organization, but just some of the properties that Valor and Honor has gotten are Class A properties, from the deer, the turkey, the duck. These aren't getting guys on hunts. They're quality hunts that when you go on a Valor and Honor hunt, it's gonna be something you and your family or you and a buddy talk about a lifetime, or it's a memory you're gonna share with your grandkids. And even adventures, just with skeet shooting, anywhere from the CTO house that you would rent out, or the wedding adventure house that you guys out there in Burlington, or even our working relationship we have with
Honey Break.
I mean, those are when you do a Valor and Honor venue, it is a class venue. Nothing's last minute per se, John. Where I've noticed where the people that are donating and the people that are participating are definitely getting their the money's worth.
Yeah. Well, we so 2 things I'd say there is one of our guiding principles is quality over quantity. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We're not going to put 10 guys on a 200-acre property and say, go deer hunting. We're not going to do that. It's going to be one person or 2 guys that know each other, and they're going to have a full run of the place. And the other thing, too, is, and I don't know that folks always know this, but everything we do is 100% cost-free to the participants. We don't charge for anything. If there's a cost for like a group like Honey Break or wherever, those organizations support us. They give us discounts, but we bear all that cost, and we'll provide the ammunition, the weapons, the clothing, whatever it takes. Like I said, I had 3 Marines here this weekend, and I think I lent out every pair of Sitka gear that I have to different people because they didn't realize how cold it was. But we'll provide everything that's needed for these outings.
So here's a question for you, John. How far do you from this podcast, what we want to do is we want to, provide that information for veterans, and the civilians as well, as far as like waterfowl or whatever it may be, what we put on this podcast. But how far do you reach out for veterans, let's say, who are in California, who are in Washington, Texas? I don't know if there's a base in Montana. I mean, I'm sure there is an Air Force base or something up there. How far do y'all actually reach out, or do you guys have people out there?
So we've got a great network because we have so many folks that are active duty, not only here in the U.S. but all over the country. I'll give you a great example. I had someone in Italy in the Army reach out. He was with JSOC and said, "Hey, I'm coming back stateside, and somebody gave me your name, and I want to be on a deer hunt." We had him on a deer hunt 2 weeks after he got back home, and he shot his biggest buck ever. So we did events in 9 states last year. We have contacts basically in all 50 states, and it's really just, it depends on what's being asked of us. We're a nonprofit. We hosted well over 300 folks last year in 9 states. We did 300 the year before. We probably would have done 500 or 600 last year had COVID not, reared its ugly head. But we're just limited by the resources that we have. So don't be afraid to reach out. If someone's in Montana or wherever, just say, "Hey, what opportunities do you have?" They might be able to drive a state or 2 over and attend one of our events, or we may have someone there that we can reach out to. I've got an event I'm holding up in the mountains of North Carolina. And that was a one-off event where there was an individual who kind of needed some R&R, and someone reached out, and we're putting an event together just for these two guys, just so they can get out there and do some trout fishing. So like I said, we'll build an event. We'll use all our resources, and we'll leverage other organizations as well. Other organizations reach out to us and say, hey, we've got someone who wants to do this event. We hear you guys can help, and we'll do that. We don't care whose banner's flying. We don't care if it's under Valor and Honor Outdoors name. We're not about that. We don't care who gets the credit. We just want to get that individual in the outdoors. There's some great organizations out there. There's some organizations I probably shy away from, but we'll be glad to refer people to someone else if we can't do it.
Okay, so the next question then for the listeners, where can they reach or get this information from y'all? I mean, is there an email? Is there a messenger?
Sure. So probably Facebook is the number one place to reach us. You'll see a lot of our events on there. And one thing that I'll say is we do a lot with the special ops community, a lot of tier 1 operators and other federal agencies that, by virtue of their role, they don't want to be photographed and want to have a lot of pictures out there. So you'll see a fraction of what we do on Instagram and Facebook. But we monitor that page all the time. You can send us a private message on Facebook. My phone number's on there. Our email's on there. And my phone is on 24/7. If that phone rings at 3 a.m, I'm answering it. So that's the best place to reach us and let us know what you're interested in doing. And also, if you're interested in supporting us, reach out and just let's have a conversation about what it is you'd like to do. I had a SEAL put me in contact with a buddy of his a couple months ago, and he said, I want to do a hog hunt in South Carolina. And a lot of people say they want to help, but when it comes down to it, they're not as committed as they thought they were, or, it was a little bit more than they anticipated. But this individual called me 2 months later, and next month we've got a hunt set scheduled. We're bringing 6 warriors down to South Carolina to do a little hog hunting. So just reach out to us and let us know what do you want to do, or let us know how you think you can help us, and we'll start to have a dialogue. And I'll just add, the quality is really, really important to us. If we're going to do an event with someone we've never dealt with before, and I can't be there or Joe can't be there, we're going to do a lot of research. But we prefer that one of us is there for that first event, just to kind of make sure the quality of the event is there and that people are doing it for the right reasons. So if you're doing an event with us, you can rest assured that organization has been fully vetted and that it's going to be a first-class operation and things are done ethically in the right way.
Okay, that's actually good. I really hope more people, you might have to get more phone lines and stuff, because hopefully these people get out. But so let's go ahead and I guess finish up with this. As far as I kind of brought the idea to Joe, or you guys kind of had this idea from my understanding, but I kind of brought it to him because when I was at Campbell, I had a buddy of mine. We were going to start a podcast to kind of for veterans, deployed veterans at that, who don't get really that information, kind of looking into send stuff for care packages. And what basically happened is it didn't happen. He went one way, I went the other, and it just didn't happen. I had all this stuff, and I thought to myself, I was driving. I think it was at night. I left a hunt with Joe, and I was like, you know what? I really want to send this message out, inform people about Valor and Honor, because I had no idea until I met Joe. I didn't know anything when I was at Campbell. I didn't know anything about Valor and Honor. And I thought, what is the best way? I was going to do a podcast before. Why not do it this way? So I thought providing that information through here kind of is going to help that. And also provide knowledge when it comes to waterfowl hunting or fishing or whatever we may be talking about. Just any day life, or how bad the Giants are, or how bad the Cowboys are. I mean, I don't know, just kind of like everyday discussions. But I will say from this, what I want to get, or what I hope to achieve, is to provide that information for our service members and veterans, so that when they go to their next location, they're not alone. They can meet somebody there, where they'd be Fort Riley, where they'd be in 29 Palms, in the middle of nowhere. So wherever it may be, that they can reach out to somebody and go get out there and build a bear, or hike Big Bear, whatever it may be. So from there, as far as that, so the idea when Joe brought it up. I was kind of curious, just personally for me. What was your thoughts when you're like, hey, this guy wants to start a podcast with us? You're like, is you kidding me?
Well, Joe's done a lot with us over the years, and I've come to rely on him and trust him. He's like a brother to me, and he's honestly one of our busiest volunteers at Valor and Honor Outdoors. So it's definitely outside my comfort zone jumping on a podcast, but it allows us to get more exposure and be able to help more, soldiers and Marines and sailors and airmen. Then I'm all for it. You meant, and by the way, I was stationed at 29 Palms, so I can attest that's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, my cousin was too.
Yeah, it's not fun, but. You mentioned things like care packages and things like that. We do a lot. We pass out clothing. We just donated to a military family that lost a house in a fire. We provide space heaters for veterans. We provide food and blankets. We do a lot of things. And sometimes we do that through other organizations. So if anybody out there hearing this is saying, I've got this idea and I want to help, reach out to me. We kind of stay within our wheelhouse. We know what we're good at. But if you want to send supplies to a deployed unit, we can make phone calls to different sergeant majors and just say, listen, here's what we have. And they will give us a name and address and say, hey, send all your care packages here and we'll make sure they get delivered to these guys that are in a hot zone. So don't hesitate to reach out. If 1,000 nonprofit organizations supporting veterans popped up tomorrow, it still would not be enough to meet the need that's out there. What we do is all word of mouth. We don't advertise for the simple reason that if I were to put a message out there, say, hey, I have a duck hunt for 2 guys next month, I'd get 1,000 messages and I'd have to tell 998 guys we can't make it. So we don't do that. It's really just word of mouth and, people letting us know that there's someone in need and someone who could really benefit from getting outdoors. So, there are some good organizations out there. We know who they are. If we can't meet the need, we'll help you get in contact with an organization that can meet that specific need. We've started providing service dogs and therapy dogs, but our core competency is not training these dogs, but we can provide them and get them to organizations that can do that and make sure that you're getting, quality animals and things like that. So that's just an example of some of the things that we can do.
Yeah, and that's actually really great. I really did enjoy you on the show. We definitely or if you would like, I'm not going to tell you what you want to do, but we definitely need to get you back on here for future podcasts, just to give us updates on what's going on with Valor and Honor. Again, if you guys want to reach them, Facebook, just Valor and Honor Outdoors. You can go to Valor and Honor. Is it .com your website?
ValorandHonorOutdoors.com or .org. In fact, our new website will be live this week, and it's nothing fancy, but it's a way to reach us. And don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for our listeners, if you guys have any questions as well, if for some reason there is questions that you want about this podcast, or even stuff that we want to talk about, you can go ahead and reach me and Joe through our Facebook page, which is Flyway Connections Podcast, or instant message, Instagram, YouTube, or our email, which is flywayconnectionspodcast@gmail.com. Now, the Gmail is going to change in the future with our own domain, but as of right now, this is where we're at. Again, I want to thank you, John, for coming on to the show. Joe, thank you for getting me into this life, and let's keep going.
Hey, no problem, John. I really appreciate the big thank you for just letting me do what I do and be able to help me support other people.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's been an honor to be here, and look forward to connecting another time.
Hey, and I want to again thank our guest, John from Valor and Honor, and I want to thank all our listeners to listening to Flyway Connections. Just so everybody's aware that Valor and Honor is a 100% volunteer organization. So all the events that they host are at no cost to the service members. So please reach out to them. It is a matching gift programs. There's a lot of companies like this that offer these programs, such as the United Way. Because of that, Valor and Honor is an established nonprofit organization. They do qualify for this programs. Goods and services that help Valor and Honor, such as donated hunts or offering discounts to hunts, or even land, or if you're willing to lease out your land to Valor and Honor, it's more than enough to help gear, fundraisers, donations. It helps all that. There at Valor and Honor is also looking for gear for military families. Anything can help for the field. They currently are actually looking for a pontoon boat. So if you're a listener out there, you have a pontoon boat or other similar crafts for family outaging, if you're willing to donate that, please reach out to Valor and Honor. If you don't want to, if for some reason you forget about Valor and Honor and you forgot what they were called, listen to the podcast or reach out to us at Flyway Connections. We can definitely help. Again, I want to thank the listeners, and we'll see you on our next show. And like always, y'all have a good one.